Now, I'm sure by now you've heard about Amazon's new Rufus AI, and if you haven't heard of AI at all, well, I don't know where you've been for the last at least 3 years, and especially the last 6 months to a year. AI is changing the game for everything, and Amazon is not excluded from that. So, with AI, you need to adapt it into your business somehow, and if you're not adapting it to your business, you are going to fall extremely far behind. It's funny because I was, at the time of this recording, it's the holiday season in 2025, and a constant question I got asked at my holiday gatherings is, "Hey, have you started using AI yet in your workplace?" And I was like, "AI in the workplace? Like, we've been using this for like 2 years now, like ever since ChatGPT came out." And if you're just starting to ask that question, you are already behind. So, my goal with today's video is to bring on an expert in the Rufus AI, the Cosmos change that Amazon's making. He's going to go through that with you and then show you how to fix your listings. And so they will be picked up by Rufus. And if you're not getting picked up by Rufus, you're not going to be seen. And the unfortunate thing is we're moving to these agents in the AI space where people aren't even going to be shopping anymore. So if Rufus isn't finding your listing, it's never going to get bought. And so today I have Zanguru's CEO, John Tillion, our podcast today, and he's going to go over all of this, all the changes, and how starting today you can fix this. All right. I think I froze, but my sound might still be going. John,
Yep,
can you
I
hear
can
me?
hear you. Yeah, I
Cool.
can hear you.
I'm going to let you run with it because I am frozen.
Oh, you're back. You're back.
I'm back.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Doc. Appreciate you bringing me on. Travis, always good to connect with you as one of the kind of leading subject matter experts in e-commerce in general. It's funny when you were like, hey, talking about like AI in the workplace, and hey, if you don't embrace AI, you're going to be left behind. Like that's literally the conversation Amazon has had internally, right? And with the advent of ChatGPT, Perplexity, LLMs, like if they don't evolve their customer experience to embrace this new way of product research and conversational search and be at the forefront of that game, they're in danger of losing that experience. And so they've had to move pretty quickly with obviously Cosmo Rufus, to really help own that space. So they're having the same conversation internally as the ones that you've heard for sure.
Yeah, and it's exciting. So if you don't embrace it, there's so many possibilities that you can do with this. We're implementing it a lot in the agency right now, and it's kind of cool to see my executive assistant implementing it because he is going deep down because we have Gemini because of Google Workspace, and he's going deep down the API beyond my knowledge and creating all these automations around what we can be doing in our workflows, and it's just automating so much of the manual labor that we used to be able to do. And I've always said that my agency will not exist today in 3 years, or excuse me, in 3 years, it will not exist of what it looks like today. And where I see us going is more of a creative agency because an Amazon PPC agency just won't exist in 3 years. Whereas in a creative agency will, creating videos, creating just photos and being that creative side and focusing on strategy behind ads versus the actual doing of the ads because Facebook, TikTok, they're all pretty much making it automated except for the creative and the offers. And so that's where I see us transitioning because we have all this AI now in place. So it allows us to be more creative versus the manual like clicking of the buttons. So it's exciting.
I agree with that. I said a similar thing when ChatGPT first came out, and everyone was like, "Oh, this is going to take away our jobs and everything." I'm like, what it's really doing is allowing humans to lean into more of their creative smarts and the creative strategy, and I think that's something that we have to embrace. Is that we now have things that can do the day-to-day executional, but allow us to be even more strategically smart and more creative and lean into that, which obviously makes a difference at the end of the day. So yeah, I agree with that for sure.
Yeah, every
But yeah,
technological advancement has led to more jobs, not fewer jobs. Yes, jobs will be taken away, but you just have to reinvent yourself, which is scary.
yeah, and faster.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah. Good. Well, yeah, we can jump in and talk through what Zonguru has been focusing on. I think from our perspective, we were the first in our space to integrate with ChatGPT when it came out, and we've leaned into the AI side and specifically, what AI is good at in our space, which in general, which is content creation, and our understanding of Amazon's algorithm and where it's shifting. So we can talk more about what what we're seeing in the space, and then certainly some solutions as to how listings have to be changed now and absolutely going into 2026 and what needs
let's
to be
jump
done.
into it.
Cool. I can present my screen if that's good, and we can go from there.
Should be good.
Okay, great. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
All right. I'm going to just pull you over to the side here. Great. I'll present this. Yeah. So, Travis, feel free to ask questions as we go. You know, we'll be brief about this. I think most people here will know who Zonguru is, but I think the one thing that I lean on now is that we are really truly engineered to meet Amazon's AI moments. There's a shift happening on Amazon with regards to its algorithm, the intelligence of its algorithm to meet more of these new AI experiences that us as customers face. And Zonguru is truly positioned there to help brands, you know, evolve their content to meet where Amazon is going. Especially around you know, listing content, image content, and I'm going to show you more of that in a second. I like to do these up front, but you know, the unpopular opinion, the one I generated for today is if your listing isn't optimized for AI, you're invisible to the next 10 billion of Amazon buyers. And you know, Amazon came out last week, I think it was, with a projection of saying, hey, they expect Rufus and conversational research on Amazon to generate an extra 10 billion in annualized sales over the next while. And if they're saying that, you know, what they, if you read between the lines, what they're saying is like, we're all in on making sure that this Rufus experience is going to be as good or better than ChatGPT or Perplexity or anything else that's happening in terms of that AI conversational search. And they need to meet that. And in order for them to meet that, you know, it's that middle piece, which means that your listing has to be restructured to meet this new intelligent algorithm that has been created to have this better conversational search, right? The good part about that in this third point over here is that as Amazon embraces conversational search and shifts this algorithm into this more intelligent LLM style structure, your listing really has to have a knowledge graph mapping. It's a technical mapping. They've given us that mapping and saying, hey, if you can technically map your listing to meet this knowledge graph, our algorithm is now intelligent enough to then go out and semantically match it to intent-based keywords, experiential situations out there, conversational search, everything that's around there, right? So, you know, the last point here is A9 was like intent-based, you know, matching, you know, basically a SERP, right? And where you placed. The real front page is going to be now this Rufus conversational search. It's going to move there more and more. And as that moves, you have to make sure that your listing is structured for that, or you're going to lose ranking. And we see it today already. We're starting to see some softening in rankings, especially if you haven't evolved your listing in the last 6 to 8 months in the new structure. If you haven't done that, you're losing ranking right now. I think I've kind of covered this, but I think if anybody is coming here like doesn't really understand what I'm talking about, the easiest way to tell you is like Amazon's Rufus is its competitive research experience to something like doing a search on ChatGPT or in Perplexity or in you know, Google Gemini, right? So like if you're wanting to get some feedback from that LLM and from that AI and to give you some recommendations and ideas around a product, that's what Rufus is. If you go into Amazon right now and you have that conversational search, you're having a similar experience. Now, even today, when you look at it, it's not nearly as good as what it is on ChatGPT or any of those other platforms, but they are certainly moving that direction as fast as they can. And I expect Q1 to be even bigger in terms of the shift there. And as I said, they're going to get $10 billion in additional revenue. They need to move fast on improving that conversational search happening in Rufus. So this is the technical mapping. So like this is just straight from their white paper that they've given us, but they're basically saying, hey, as we move away from this intent-based keyword, hey, we'll read your listing and manually look at your keywords and then match you to the keywords on the intent side. The algorithm is basically saying, hey, if you can match all your content to answer all of these relational types, use like the functional, the audience, the location, where on the body, etc. If you can match all of these, we can then, our algorithm is intelligent enough to say, hey, we can then match it and look at all the universe of keywords and make sure that you're placed and visible across all those keywords or experiences, or the combination of those and the recommendations around the LLM, right? So the good part here is, like, if they're telling us technically how to match it, we have an AI engine that is built that can match your listings to this, and then allow you some space to really talk about your product, your differences, everything around that. So it's a really cool evolution that's happening, because your listings will now move from this ingredient heavy keyword stuff listing into something that can breathe and talk about your brand and talk about your differences and how you better, right? Which is really cool. We're not beholden to just making sure we stuff it with keywords.
Can we so Tony asked a good question, and I'm going to pull it up on the screen so you can see it. So he's asking, are you saying that your ZonGuru listing tool is now redundant? It's a great question.
No, not at all. No. So ZonGuru's tool, the listing optimizer tool that we have inside there is still, and it's maybe even referencing this, like there is still an important piece around what we call A9 or keyword intent, right? So you still want to make sure that your top keywords are being matched in your listing, certainly not repeated or stuffed and mentioned once. So you need to have that, especially in your title. But the rest of the listing, allowing it to match around the COSMO scoring is critical, right? And you can, in our current listing optimizer, you can, you'll get a baseline which is matched for Rufus, and you can adjust your listing as you need to. But we have this new product, which is our COSMO transformation service, which if Tony is listening, he can go straight to our main page and can access it. But we have an evolution of the listing optimizer, which is really using this AI tool that we have behind it to transform your listings in even further way than our current listing optimizer. So you can access that by just going to our homepage. So the listing optimizer is almost like the self model, where you can do it yourself and you can add those in and you can look at the keywords, and then the scoring on that. There's a link in there which will take you to the COSMO scoring. I'll show you some of that today. But if you want to actually transform your listing in an even further way, where we take account for your brand and everything else, use the COSMO transformation service. So it's an additional service that we have.
Yeah, keyword search is not dead. So you can't. That's essentially what, like, the question is keyword search dead? Not even close.
No,
There's still a lot of people that are searching, but we're starting to move towards Rufus AI, which is more of a conversational search. And so both of them are going to be. They both need to be there, especially right now. And so Amazon PPC is not dead. Your listing, keyword match score, all that stuff, A9 is not dead. It's still there. So you still have to take, and you still have to convert. Like, Rufus is going to help, but they're still going to go over to the listing most of the time and check it out. So like when I search on Amazon, I don't even use Rufus yet. I still do like the A9, like the old version. I just haven't started adapting Rufus yet. That's just me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a very strong use case. Like a lot of people today, probably most of us, we might do some conversational research on ChatGPT, right? Find something you like, and then we're going to open up our Amazon accounts, put in a keyword, find that product, and then, to your point, that listing still has to convert. So it still needs to be able to sell you on what that product is. I might look at the reviews, maybe I'll jump to some other products, and then actually convert, right? Now, Rufus's role is going to grow in that, and it's going to become more of the norm as that experience gets better. But where Amazon is right now, and this is the slide, is like, they're moving towards COSMO, but there's certainly still this A9 intent-based aspect of listings, and there will always be intent-based search. How we cover that in our transformation service is we technically map it for COSMO. We do some more, I'll talk more about this, but some deep research around customer sentiment and how to better connect with your customers and help them convert. But we certainly still cover CYA or cover the A9 aspect of that, especially in your title. So making sure that your main keywords are being matched, without obviously repetition or being stuffed, in your titles. And what we see from obviously performance tracking, I'll show you some of this towards the end of this, is we're certainly seeing not a drop in, sessions or keyword rank, but we're seeing an improvement in sessions overall, and your keyword rank is holding, right? So the algorithm is absolutely accounting for Cosmo, but the A9 piece is still a piece right now. So I think this is an important piece, you know, for everyone who's going through their sales at the time of this recording, which is, you know, holiday season. If you're kind of not truly understanding, like, hey, is Q4 a little soft? Maybe my competitors are performing. Why am I not? You know, the question is like, have you made updates to your listings? And if not, you might be starting to feel some of this drop, right? It's those listings that are starting to move towards Cosmo are certainly getting preference, and I believe early 2026 is going to get even more preference, right? So you have to start really out of the back of this holiday season looking at your listings and making sure that you are mapped. And if you're not mapped, you're going to be dinged for sure in comparison to other listings.
And the great thing about this is 95% of sellers are not going to be doing this. And so if you just jump on doing a service like this, and I don't care whose service you use, we use Zanguru in the agency. They are, I mean, we use them heavily in the agency. And so we use their service. But whatever you're doing, you need to make this transformation, because I've seen this the last 11 years I've been in this space. 5% of people will do this over the next like year. And then it will start to catch on and everybody will start to do it eventually. But if you just do it now, it's going to make a huge difference for your business and your brand. And I mean, I did this for my brand. We have 3 products, and it literally took me 5 to 10 minutes to do it.
Yeah. And the cool part about the service that I have that I'm just mentioning right now is that we built this kind of agentic model that we've built, which has human aspects in it as well, but we've built it to do this in bulk. So for every brand that you have, like let's say you have a brand and you have like 150 listings, you could literally add all 150 listings and you would get them all back transformed, right? So you could do one listing or more, your heroes, etc. So we're expecting this idea of like, hey, there's going to be the strong transformation that needs to happen, and so you can do this in a quick fashion. The first note I have on here, and like this is the thing that I love most about what we've built right now, is we're using AI for what it's good at, right? One is certainly the mapping, the technical mapping, like writing a listing, but ensuring that we can technical map for everything that is noted from Amazon on the Cosmo and Rufus side. But also using it to do deep research on your brand. So we give you, in our process, we give you inputs that you can help teach the agent. One is around the brand. So brand tonality, what is your brand? You can actually help teach the agents by filling out a form. And then, you also get a product intake sheet where you can add some notes as well. But what this agent system is doing is actually analyzing your niche, understanding what is your unique differentiator as a brand or a product. What are your competitors all talking about? What is the customer sentiment? What do they actually love about your type of products? What do they hate, or what are they looking for? And this model will then bring those pieces together almost into a sweet spot, and then present your listing in a way where it maps technically, but then it allows the listing to really talk to, hey, this is why we're different. Here's how I'm connecting with you at a emotional level, target audience. Here's how I'm talking about this product differently to competitors. So those are the really cool things that I love about this service, is like we get a lot of feedback from brands going like, I've been trying to differentiate my brand from everyone for the last 2 years and I've never figured it out. You guys nailed it in this service, right? So by not stuffing your listing with keywords and allowing it to breathe and using AI in the right way to get at these insights, you're just creating this listing that can convert so much better than old listings. And that's the power of the system, outside of just the kind of mapping that's there, right?
Yeah, and the reason it does that is because it's something I focus on all the time. Benefits over features. It's so funny. We're
Yeah.
so like logically driven to write listings unless you've been trained in copy. We always feature the features. The bullet points are just features. And I actually just bought into a brand and we're going over this with them quite a bit, is they're always talking about the features of their product in their videos. They do amazing creative, amazing videos, amazing everything, but they're always talking about the features and they're not talking about the transformation and the benefits that their product provides. And when you start focusing on the transformation and the benefits, your listing conversion rate skyrockets as a result, because you're getting the emotional brain involved. And when you get the emotional brain involved, that's what sells. And then the logic closes. And so, what I liked about the Cosmo listing optimizer is that it features I shouldn't say features, it makes the benefits center stage, but then brings the features in as a result. And it explains it to you like, this is why we said this, because your product has this.
Exactly. 100% agree. And also, it helps to surface benefits that maybe you as a brand owner haven't thought about, because it's looking deep into the niche on Amazon and looking at reviews and customer sentiment and saying, hey, these are some of the commonalities. So this is actually one of the best benefits that you should map to at an emotional level. I'll show you an example in a second, but it truly, well, this is the example, right? So let me jump over and show you this. Oh, one other thing while I'm bringing this up, that's important to just note is what we're seeing as well, and this is kind of a good insight on Amazon. This algorithm they're building is very similar to other LLMs, right? Clearly, like they're copying what is done on ChatGPT and Perplexity, etc. And the important thing there is that if you structure your Amazon listing in this way, that's exactly what ChatGPT, Perplexity, all of these other ones are looking for in terms of their structure and what they surface in their recommendations. So the idea is, hey, if you can structure your listing in this way, most likely you have a much stronger way opportunity to surface in a visible way on ChatGPT, Perplexity, etc. So you're almost future-proofing your listing for Amazon sales, but expanding that to GEO happening across Perplexity, ChatGPT, etc. Right, which is pretty cool. Okay, so here's a listing, right? So it's actually a pretty good listing. It ranks well. It's a automatic cat feeder. It's got all the content in here. So we've run this through our system, right? So the first thing I would say is you get a readiness report. So I'm not going to go too much into the detail on. I'm going to actually show you one live. Travis, we can run this for your product. But this is basically doing an audit of your current listing and saying, hey, how does your current listing score from a Cosmo and a Rufus readiness perspective? So it gets a 63 out of 100. Anything above like 70 is pretty good. So it scores it. There's a whole bunch of detail here. It actually tells you where all the gaps are and how to do it better. But then, what we do is we run it through our system. Again, you get the opportunity to help influence the brand tonality. You can also, tell it, hey, what are the main competitors? What should I say or not say in the listing? So you get some ability to input, and then you get these reports at the end of the day. So you get a detailed report and all of the content and kind of image insights that you need to be able to update your listing. So you get two reports. One is on content. I'm not going to get too detailed into this. You can find this on Zonguru and you can look at this in a lot of detail, but you'll see things like, hey, this is the current listing. Here's the new listing, right, of what you need to put into your Amazon storefront. And then we get into obviously the backend search terms, and then we get into the analysis, right? So we actually start to look at like, hey, the features and benefit evolutions. So before, what did you talk about? Programmable time feeding. Now what you're talking about is worry-free feeding schedule. So it's addressing the anxiety that it's found from the customer sentiment, right? And put that in there. It's moved from like talking about capacity to the benefit focus. Like, hey, it's not just capacity. It's actually, hey, you have now several days of worry-free feeding, right? So it tells you kind of like how it's evolved the features to benefits. It's then talked about the Cosmo mapping, and it shows you exactly, hey, based on all the structure, here's where it was, and now here's how it's moved and how it's mapped, right? So it's telling you exactly how it's mapping for Cosmo. We talk about the A9 algorithm, the main keywords, and how we make sure that we cover those. And then we get into the Rufus answer engine part. So all the Q&A and the Rufus questions that need to be answered, how are we answering those and making sure that we're mapping for that as well. We explain the brand voice alignment, like how are we talking about this to make sure we match your brand. We talk about your ICP, which is your main ideal customer portfolio, and how we make sure we understand that and talk about that. So there's a lot that goes into this in terms of how we've evolved the listing and explain to you why, right? So we do this all on the content side, and then we do it on the image side as well. This is probably one of the strongest features, I would say, is we actually do a deep dive on your image stack and your competitor's image stack. And then we'll come back and analyze and tell you exactly, hey, this is the order of images that you should have in your carousel. And we then get into the specifics, like, hey, on image 2, you need to make sure you add this visual description, this headline copy, this priority messaging, this technical requirements. And we give you a prompt that you can actually add into any of your favorites, nano bananas or whatever you want, and it'll come back and give you a visual description. So the point of this side is we're not evolving it at this stage to saying, hey, this is the actual creative image that you should put into your stack, but we're telling your creative team exactly what they should put into it, and they can develop the final product, right? We still believe that creatives, to Travis's point earlier, are the ones that should be doing the final creative. So we're giving you the best creative insights and strategic insights to make sure that you have the best image content and copy that goes in it that is read by humans and obviously the AI. And we do all the same on the EBC content as well. So you're getting a full end-to-end solution, all the content, exactly what you need to put in, and all the images, the best insights, so that you can create the best creative execution on the image side as well. And then we give this to you in CSVs, and the best way for you to upload it as well. And then finally, you can score the listing. This is the score on the listing after all of those updates, a good 84 out of 100, and kind of gets into the details, right? So, that's the end-to-end solution that we have on the Cosmo side.
Cool. I mean, it's a no-brainer in my mind. I think it's a no-brainer, not just for the Cosmo part, but actually looking at the benefit versus feature thing. I stress that all the time. The benefit first, you got to focus on the benefits. And this is a separate program, AI, coming in and saying, this is the benefits based on that feature. And that's like the number one thing I look at when I do a listing optimizer is like myself is, are you focusing on the features? Is there any emotion to these bullets at all? And the answer is usually no. There is no emotion on these bullets. And this actually brings, it's funny because we go to a robot to bring emotion to our listings. And so I think it did a great job, even with my own listings, the ones that I wrote. It brought out things that I didn't even think of, because you're in your business all the time and you never take a step back and like look at it separately because it's your everyday. And this does. It's like hiring a consultant for your business for $100.
Yeah, and it's yeah. So, and actually, by the way, we'll jump over to this right now, but we have an exclusive offer for your audience. This is from your team and exclusive to your team. So if you go to this link, zonguru.link ppc-cosmo25, and you add this coupon code Cosmo December 25 DEC, you'll get 25% off. But it's you don't have to have a subscription to Zonguru. You literally can do any listing you want. It's $100 per listing, or in this case, $75 a listing. You'll get that ROI literally back in seconds once you publish that. I'm pretty sure that's the feedback we've been getting, and we track all the performance, right? So the vision on Zonguru on this specific side is like, do your listings once, track it in our tracking system, look at the performance, and then if there's automatic updates that need to happen, we're going to handle that for you as part of our overall service. But this is the kind of tracking that we have. This is a snapshot of one listing. It was live for 2 weeks, but you can see sessions are up 68%, niche rank is up, conversion rate is up 18%. And the important thing is, when we do this tracking, we're smart enough, because we know the space well enough, that we know that like organic rank and traffic, etc., is impacted by other aspects that are important. So price, PPC spend, etc., right? So we track that in context. So we give you the overall picture. So these are improvements while PPC spend has been stable, right? So it's an increase in organic traffic overall, which is great. So you'll get the ROI on that very, very quickly. And importantly, if you don't do this, your ranking is going to start dropping and you're going to lose even more. So it is critical that you get in on this offer and transform your listings. Again,
I did put the link down in the comments. So if you're watching this
okay, great.
On Facebook and YouTube, the link is down below. If you're on LinkedIn, you can't post a LinkedIn from StreamYard. So you can just go to that zonguru.link /pp-cosmo25. Quick question. If I'm creating a brand new listing, can I use this service?
Yes, you can use it as long as you have it up, or in Seller Central, and you've created that. You can go ahead and do it on a brand new listing as well. So yes, you can do it on a brand new listing, and it's going to be mainly based on the competitors that you add into that. So it'll use that as the biggest input. I wanted to run this. If you're good, I'll just take this. So we have an internal tool. This is actually coming out. So this is a kind of a sneak peek. There's an internal tool, and now this is going to be available pretty much free for anybody coming to ZonGuru. But you can actually audit your own Cosmo, your own listing for Cosmo readiness and for Rufus readiness. I'll just run it on our internal, but I'll just add this. It'll just take a second. But basically, I'll just add the ASIN and generate the reports. It's going to take a second, but we're doing all this analysis across that specific listing. Travis, you gave me this one listing, and it'll come back and it's going to give you some insights around like how well is this listing optimized for Cosmo right now and for Rufus. Now, it is based on just the content on your listing. It's not accounting for your images or your EBC, but it gives you a good sense of like how well your listing is actually structured for that. And then importantly, not just like your score, but it'll actually tell you where those gaps are based on that technical mapping and the Rufus Q&A. So you could literally take this report in itself. If you didn't want to use our Cosmo transformation, you'll get insights from that of where you actually need to make some of those updates to get it done. And then while that's running, maybe just some other things to show you, because we're working with Profitable Pineapple on some of the listings, but some of that control that you get, you have the brand intake up front that you can input on, but then you'll get this product sheet back that looks like this, which is really a summary of like all the insights, aspects that have been found across that specific product. Now there's multiple products being done here, but you can see the main buy keyword, the top competitors, your key feature benefits. It'll say stated, or it'll actually say it will be inferred, which is like some of the other things that are being inferred. Certifications, compliance disclaimers, do not mentions, right? The important thing is like when you review this, you can actually change these. So you can add a whole bunch of do not mentions, like if it's FDA specific terms that will cause your listing to not be approved, you can add those in here. You can change your main buy keyword if you want, or your competitors, or any of these terms. You can literally remove them if they're not aligned. So you're basically giving feedback into the agent and saying, hey, I've looked at some of these things, but some of these are aligned or misaligned, or here's some that I've added. And it's going to then factor that into your final listing. So what's really unique about the system is you have the control over the agent, right? You have the control over the brand, and you have the control over some of the features, benefits, and the do not mentions, and you can put that control in here before we output it, right? So it's a really cool system because you're literally teaching the agent as it goes.
And you talk to it just like you would a team member. And so don't think of it like this thing that knows all. You got to treat when you're working with AI like it's a team member that you're instructing. And so do that when you're updating this document. I did some updating, but I didn't do enough. And so we've been going back and forth with the agent just to kind of get some language out and some more language in. And that's what you do with a team member that would be doing this, or somebody else. But guess what? This is about 100 times faster. Oh yeah, that is not a good score.
There you go. Yeah. So yeah, so the current listing, and again, that doesn't mean that you don't have a great listing. The listing can be great, but from that semantic, Cosmo technical mapping and Rufus mapping perspective, there's work to be done, right? So it's given the score, I'll send this to you, Travis, so you can look at it, but it'll give you the score and the mapping, and it's mainly the Rufus Q&A is the part that's in the listing itself is not being covered. Now you can also cover this in some of your EBC, but there's going to be insights here, like, it gives you this kind of overall snapshot where you're strong, where you're weak, right, across it. So there's a lot of questions here that still need to be answered. And then in here, it'll tell you, hey, like these are well developed, like how's it being used, the situation of when, but the target audience, it's saying, hey, you might want to talk more to the type of target audience that it can connect to, right? Product type, it's saying, hey, you might want to talk a little bit more about the capsule size or vegetarian vegan status, any other certifications, right? Used in location, so it's telling you here like where and how you would use it, which could be referenced. You can talk about there. And then this is a really big one, which is the used with. This is kind of like a co-buy like signal for Rufus. Like it's always looking to, it's intelligent enough to co-buy. So like if you're using this product in a certain way, what is a situation where, or a product that you might use it with? Because if it can match on the co-buy, it's going to surface you a lot more when people are searching for something else. But it's like, oh, if you're this type of person looking for this, why don't you also look at this product, right? So the used with is really important.
So that
And
could
then
be huge
obviously
with our product, because a lot of people that take
dietary
our
plans,
product will also use like omeprazole or Prilosec. And so we could say use in conjunction with omeprazole to whatever, because this is like a more, I don't want to say it's a more natural version of it, but it's a supplement to help prevent you from having to take Prilosec and omeprazole and antacids.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and yeah, so saying like it's giving you some, but you're going to have some other ideas. So like, products such as probiotics, digestive enzymes, other antacid
That
style
too,
things, so diet, whatever, right? So it's saying, hey, make sure that you have that co-buy mapping in a stronger way. And then obviously it gets into Rufus and some of the questions that need to be answered, and then some A9 gaps as well. So there's a lot in this report that will give you the insights of how to map it even yourself before you do COSMO transformation. And a sneak peek here is like this is going to be available as a free product to anyone who wants to come in and check their listing. So the idea for us is like we want to give you guys every information you need to be able to say, hey, I'm falling short in certain ways, and then if you want to use our service, you can, and we can jump in and get that going.
Yeah, and as you guys know, I don't recommend services that I don't use myself, and I don't recommend people that I don't use myself. We are heavy users of ZonGuru. We use their listing optimizer for our clients, and we also use their software for our agency. They give us a nice dashboard where we can look at all of our clients in one look. And so, if you're out there managing lots of brands, I highly recommend them, using them as like an agency platform. It works incredibly well, and I wouldn't bring you guys anything on this channel that I don't use myself. So highly recommend John and his services. We've been with them for about 3 years now. And this is another great offering that you guys have. I have on my channel, I remember when you first came out with ChatGPT for listing optimization, and I made a video on that, and that was like a year and a half ago, and it was so innovative back then, and now we're here.
Yeah, I think it's almost 2.5 years back now, but
2.5 years.
yeah, it's gone quick. Yeah. No, it's certainly, as I said, like we're really engineering to meet this AI moment on Amazon specifically, and the combination between our seller DNA and our algorithmic DNA of what we've been trying to be, figuring out that black box on the Amazon side for a long time. Plus, obviously, the advent of AI, it really gives us, a good position in the market to help brands evolve. And pretty proud of this one. I think it certainly is unique. I think there are certainly other kind of agentic style products in the market, but just our insight of like, hey, we understand brands need to be able to input into the agent and teach it from a brand and a product perspective before we give the outcome. It's a pretty unique flow, which is pretty cool.
All right. Well, I have right below me the link that he had up again for 25% off. So you can get this listing optimizer for $75. Highly recommend doing it. It's what I call a no-brainer offer. It's like, you used to have to pay $1,000 just to get your listing optimized, and now we can do it for $75, and it's better than probably anything else that's out there. So make sure you go visit that link, support ZonGuru, support John. I'm a big believer in what they're doing. John, do you have anything else to say before we go?
No, good luck out there for whenever you're watching this. So hopefully before 2025 is up and sales go well. But I would say you need to lean into getting these listings transformed and mapped before Q1, because I think there's a big push coming, just again from what Amazon is saying. If they're putting $10 billion in their projections on Rufus, the algorithm is shifting. You've got to be there.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for coming on.
Cheers.